This video is brought to you by ablmerch.com. You're able to get all the hats I wear in the videos, plus a large selection of other hats, t-shirt, hoodies, and more through the link in the description box below. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk a little bit more about the coronavirus, Wuhan virus, China virus, whatever you want to call it. And no, it is not racist to call it the China virus because it did come from China, but that's a different story, and I digress. This particular virus has kind of wreaked havoc on America. The stock market is plunging through the basement. All the gains that we have made in the past 3.5 years, Trump's been in office, is pretty much washed away. It's all gone. Like on inauguration day, it started at like 19,000. Now we're back down to 19,000. Okay, we've lost like 5,000 points in the past few days. It's been a real mess. People are losing their shirt behind this. People basically are not able to pay bills, are not able to pay rent. We got to talk about what cities and states have done to try and mitigate some of these damages economically and also stop the spread of the virus from person to person. And we also got to talk about what the federal government has done to do some of those same things to not only stop the virus from spreading, but also to stop some economic loss. Now, there was a press conference today where Trump spoke with the administration, people in the health side of things, and Mike Pence was there. Quite a few people were there that know about this particular thing, that know about epidemics and pandemics. An idea was floated around or put out there that Trump would provide financial assistance to Americans right now because of the economic problems. We'll get to those in a minute. Word on the street is that he's proposing giving every American $1,000 for a one-time payment to help them get through all of what's going on right now economically. Now, in my humble opinion, this is not a very good idea. Not at all. We're getting into UBI territory, but don't get it twisted. This is not UBI by any stretch. Not at all. UBI is a thing where it's just like you always get the money regardless of what. Okay, not in an emergency situation like what's going on right now, just because quote unquote automation is coming, the jobs are going to be gone. Although there's like 7 million available jobs in America, but that's a different story again, and I digress. Automation is coming, the jobs are going to be gone. Therefore, you're making like 80 grand a month working in the factory, but $1,000 per month, which is $12,000 per year, is going to help you. And if you get welfare, you don't get it. Okay, so really what that tells me is that this is going to be welfare. It's simple. I mean, even what Trump is proposing is a form of welfare, but the difference is that people actually may need it because they can't go out there and work. They can't go out there and make money. What we want as conservative people is for people to go out there, make money, participate in the economy, and have things going that way. That's the way it should be. But right now, people are not able to do it. Now, why is that? Well, a lot of cities and states are shutting down restaurants. New York City shut down every restaurant on Times Square. San Francisco, they're shutting down restaurants, all kind of stuff. Well, they're not shutting down restaurants, but they are telling you can't leave your house except for essential things like grocery store runs and going to a doctor, you know, things like that. Now, going to work, people still got to do that because they still got to be able to eat. I did not see anything in what San Fran proposed that would allow you to go to work as normal. So if you can't go to work, then what are you going to do? So I think the whole $1,000 one-time payment is in response to people not being able to go out there and work and the economy just tanking. Now, I'm not really sure how far that $1,000 is going to go. If you can't work for like a month, 2 months, 3 months, that's going to be a problem. Some states have put in little ordinances and whatnot that says landlords can't evict. Now, I'm not really sure how you're going to get that one off. It's like, okay, if I own a house, right, I'm a private owner, I own my own house, I'm renting it out, and people are not paying their rent. That means I can't evict them. How does it make any sense? At that point, you have a squatter on your property. I mean, how is it going to prevent anybody from squatting? Like, what if you got a legitimate squatter, a person that's not paid rent at all and is not planning to, person that's not even authorized to be there? I mean, there's so many holes in the things that people are doing in these different states, in California, New York, etc. It's kind of making my head spin. It's really weird. It's a head scratcher. But beyond that, getting back to what Trump is doing, I'm not really a big fan. I remember the stimulus back in the day, that didn't do anything. Granted, it was less money, but still, $1,000, how much is that really in 2020 if you're not able to work at all? See, back when the stimulus came out, I think it might have been under, George W., if I'm not mistaken, or under Obama, one of them people. Anyway, when that came out, people actually had jobs. It was like, okay, I'm still going to work. Like for me, I'm still going to work, and I'm just getting this extra little $200 to put in my bank account, spending on some Jordans or something like that. I think it'd be the same thing here with $1,000 a month. I think you would need more than that to shore up some of these bills. But what should happen is that we get back to work. All these quarantines and stuff talking about don't go to restaurants, don't go to bars. I understand, you want to keep the elderly safe and whatnot, but at a certain point, we can't just stop living life. I mean, how many times has an elderly person caught the flu and died from a young person that was pretty much asymptomatic? I mean, that's probably happened quite a bit, but that doesn't mean that we just stop living life because people may get sick and pass away. That's part of life. Death is part of life. So you can't just, put life on hold. And since we are putting life on hold, we're suffering economically. Look at the airline industry. They're going to need a bailout. Talking about like $50 billion. It's not even a whole month yet where they've had disruptions, but they still need to bail out because nobody's buying tickets. I checked on Google today, and a flight from Atlanta to Houston, $50. To go from Atlanta to Miami is like $30. Round trip. I mean, these prices are way too low. And the reason for that is because people are canceling. They're scared to fly. They don't want to travel. They don't want to spread the virus. But there are plenty of viruses that spread and kill people. You can die from the common cold, especially if you're elderly, like was the case in Washington State at the nursing home. People were elderly and they were susceptible to this virus because they're elderly. They have a lower immune system. And I mean, it's just what it is. Not saying it's okay, not saying it's right, but we can't just stop living life because some may pass away. How many have died from the coronavirus in the U.S.? Like what, 60, 70? But the flu has taken how many? 12,500, 14,000, who knows? In 1 year, in 2017, 2018 winter season, you had 80,000 Americans that died from the flu. There was no talk of stock market tanking, not being able to go to work, not being able to go to a restaurant and eat food inside of there. And people are getting shamed for going on spring break. People on the left and the right are shaming them, but it's like they're doing the right thing rather than just sitting down waiting on the handout, waiting on the check. They're actually out there, helping the economy keep rolling. We got to do that. In my opinion, I understand the safety factor, but at what point do we just not live life anymore because of the safety factor? Trump was talking about the virus could last until like August. Are we just going to put our lives on hold until August? You're talking about months. People got to be able to work. They got to be able to eat. People in America are often living check to check. Okay, so if you say just stay home for a month, that's not really possible for everybody. It's simple. You're looking out for some people that may catch it and they may pass away. And just because you're old does not mean you will catch it, number one. Number two, don't mean you pass away. But anyway, we're putting our lives on hold for that. Meanwhile, we can't just push the pause button. Some of us have money to the point where it don't even really matter. We got savings, we still making money, we can work from home or whatever, but not everybody has that luxury. So this whole $1,000 a month thing, I'm not really a fan of. The math right quick to get into that before we wrap it on up with a bow on top. To give 100 million Americans, which is only half of American adults, a little bit less than that actually, to give 100 million Americans $1,000 on a one-time payment will cost $100 billion. $100 billion for a one-time payment of $1,000 a month. So people talking about Andrew Yang. Oh, Andrew Yang was right. Listen to Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang come back. He's talking about UBI that'll be year round. So not just one payment, but 12 payments every year. All right. So you go from 100 billion for one payment for 100 million Americans to 1.2 trillion every year consistently. 2.4, and then 4.8 throughout this whole term. You're talking about almost $5 trillion in 5 years. We ain't talking about that. We talking about 100 billion, which is still too much for a one-time payment. I think that we should focus on getting back to work. The fear mongering has gone way too far. People are losing their shirts behind this. People are losing their savings. They're losing everything. The airline industry is gone. The stock market is gone. All this stuff is gone because of fear mongering and panic. It's too much. It's out of control. Let's get back to living life as normal. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think it's a good idea for Trump and the administration to give out checks of $1,000 on a one-time basis to help Americans through this whole process and crisis? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is it not a good idea? Should we just get Americans back to work? You know, people that are not working sometimes make more than $1,000, in a month or 3 months or however long they want this whole thing to last. So let's get back to work. Let's go back to making money and just keep on rolling. We can't just put our lives on hold for this whole thing. Be safe, be clean, wash your hands and whatnot. But putting ourselves into this little bubble, this little isolation chamber, really probably won't even really work health-wise, because you still got to be exposed to a particular thing at a certain point to develop some kind of immunity to it. You know, get everybody kind of sick right now so you don't have a worse thing that comes about later that we're not even prepared for at all. Okay, we can be right back here next year with the next coronavirus. And since we did not build up a tolerance for the first one, now we're even more vulnerable to the second one, and it'll be even worse. Get through the bad stuff right now so we can have a rainbow on the other side. Because if we don't, I'm not really sure how we're going to recover economically or anything else for that matter. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.